everyone. I wanted to come on today and talk about some of the costs that are associated with starting a handmade business. Some of these costs are things that I feel like I didn't know about, people weren't talking about, and so I just kind of want to share them. The goal of this video is not to scare anybody away and let you know, like, oh, it costs so much. That's not the goal. I just want you to be informed so that you can make the best decisions for you and for your business. Okay. I want you to go into this with your eyes open. So there are some things it's like maybe I can't pay for that today, but I can plan for that starting today so that in 3 months, then I can purchase that or I can do this or whatever. So I'm Sherry from Handmade U, and I teach folks how to monetize their handmade craft businesses. And in Philadelphia, where I'm located, I actually have an in-person class that I do, and it's actually coming up. So I'm excited by that. I'm doing it through Mount Airy Learning Tree, and then I'm also doing it through my studio, Handmade U. So two opportunities. Look at that. But at any rate, I think from all of the classes that I have taught and the discussions that I've had with the students, I recognize that a lot of people have a basic understanding of like some things that they're going to expect, right? So they're like, I know I got to pay for my supplies. I know I got to pay for the tools that I need. I know I need this or whatever. And so they'll make a list sometimes and they'll get the things that they need or the things that they want for their business and they'll rock out with that. And that's totally awesome. But a lot of times when people make that list, they get stuck thinking, oh, that is everything. That is all of the things. And it's so many more things. So I'm gonna share I'm gonna share some of the costs that I feel like can creep up on you and surprise you if you're not thinking about them in advance, okay? And I don't want this to be a super long video, so I will try really hard not to ramble too much. But if you know me, you already know. I get sidetracked really easily. So here we go. So the first thing that I think that people don't always know or expect is the packaging. Like they're like, oh, I'll just put it in a box and ship it. Mm, mm. I mean, yes, but mm, mm, mm. With regards to packaging, you got to think about the boxes. You have to think about are there any like inner packaging that you need to use? So like, do you need to use cello bags or do you need to use those pouches, the smell-proof pouches for any reason? Labeling for those for that packaging. Um, the boxes that you're going to actually ship it in, thank you cards. A lot of people are like, what? Now, I actually have templates on my Etsy shop for the thank you cards, and people grab them all the time. It's kind of reminding me that, like, this is not a thing that people always just have at the top of their mind, you know? You need tape, all of the things for packaging. The second thing I would say is shipping. A lot of people don't know about shipping, and I'll give y'all a gem real quick. Um, if you go into the post office or to UPS or anywhere and you go to the counter, they're going to give you what they call their retail price for shipping. But if you use a third-party software, and my favorite one is Pirate Ship, you actually get wholesale shipping. And so you could save a lot of money, 30, 40, 50% off of shipping by using a platform like Pirate Ship. If you're using a website like Shopify or Etsy, sometimes the website that you use will have a shipping system built in that can give you and offer you those discounts. But if not, y'all, Pirate Ship is definitely the way to go. Next up, I would say people don't always expect the expense of a logo in their brand identity. And that doesn't necessarily have to be an expense. That's something that you could potentially work on yourself if you have that skill. But if you don't have that skill, that's something that you might want to go onto like Fiverr.com or Upwork.com and find somebody that can put that together for you. If you're going to do a website, I'm sure, because I do this in my classes, one of the first things that people tell you as soon as you start your business and you get your business name, make sure you secure your domain. Absolutely. I concur with that advice. However, what they don't tell you is that that domain has to connect to a website, right? And that website, they're not all free. And you could do a free Canva website, but you can't sell products through your free Canva website unless you rig it to put links to Stripe or links to Squarespace or, So, okay, I take that back. So there's ways that you can do it. It's just going to take some finessing. But if you were to do Shopify, Shopify is going to charge you a monthly fee to have that website. And platforms like Shopify, what they also sometimes don't tell you is that in addition to paying that monthly fee, you may need to purchase an app. And that app is going to give you the functionality that you need for the things that you want to do in your business. And so if that's the case, that's additional dollars that you're going to have to spend. In our world today, a lot of us are using contactless payments to get things done. And that is awesome. But anytime that someone uses contactless or credit card, there's typically going to be payment processing fees. And so every sale that you make using electronic payment methods, be prepared for those fees. And so you might want to consider that when you are pricing your product. When you do decide that you want to register your business, depending on the structure that you choose and depending on whether or not you need any permits for where you live, prices are going to apply and they're going to vary depending on where you are and what you actually need. Product liability insurance, a lot of people don't think about that, but I would challenge you to think about that from the beginning, especially if you are doing something that people wear or put on their skin or come in close contact with. If someone puts on your body butter and they have a full out breakout, they can't breathe or whatever the case might be, then they might want to seek legal recourse. And if they choose to do so, they're going to come for you. And so, especially as a sole proprietor, where you don't have the limited protections that an LLC will provide you, you can at least have this liability insurance to help protect you so that people can't come after your own personal assets and completely wipe you out just because you wanted to have a business. Okay. So again, I'm not trying to scare you with that, but we have to be smart about the things that we do, and the liability connected with a t-shirt is different from the liability for a bracelet, which is different for the liability for a candle, different for the liability for that body butter. They have different levels. And so the best thing to do is to talk to an insurance agent and talk through what type of coverage you actually need for the type of product that you create. Some other costs that could be helpful and important for you. If you do not already have a good idea for photography and how to do that, you might want to hire a photographer to capture your product so that you have really, really decent photos. And then the last piece that I want to talk about today, listen, when we first start crafting, I don't know why we do this to ourselves, but for some reason, we often exclude the time that it takes us to actually create the product and exclude assigning a value, a worthy value per hour for our labor. The Bureau of Labor and Statistics, every so often, they will put out a new report that has the salaries, the average salaries for different professions. Do they have crafter in here? And I believe I found artist and handmade artisan or something along those lines. And so I looked at it and I was very, very, very surprised to see the range. Literally, it was on the low end, people are literally paying themselves minimum wage. And then on the high end, there are some people out there that are charging 150, 200 plus per hour for their labor. And it made me think about what are all the variables that can go into that. And so it's just like experience, education, and knowledge. All of those things kind of factor in. And then if you reach a certain level of fame or notoriety, people recognize your name, then there's the perceived value that also increases, right? Don't put yourself at the bottom. So, like, when it comes to minimum wage, and please don't take what I'm saying the wrong way because I am not trying to discount anybody for any reason, but minimum wage for me is something that, so like if let's say I hired my niece or my nephew, I hired them and I wanted them to do a very specific task in my business, I want you to count out these beads and package them for me. I would, I could pay them, I would feel okay paying them the minimum wage for doing those repeatable tasks that are, very simple. You don't need to know anything about the product in order to do it. But if you have to invest in education and then you have to invest in supplies and you have to practice until you get it right and you have to kind of perfect what you're doing, all of that adds value. So me personally, as a handmade crafter, I feel like you get to bump that up from that minimum wage. You should bump that up to at least 20, $25 an hour. At least. This is just my opinion. Like you gotta do what's best for you. But in my opinion, like I said, just what you invested in learning how to do the thing and getting good at it, that should automatically bump you up to that 20, $25 range almost instantly. And then let's say you've been doing this for 10 years or more, then that means that you're really getting good at this, right? Like you're doing this over and over and over again. So you can increase it even more. So I can't tell you what to actually charge. All I can tell you is that make sure you're charging something and really sit down and take time to reflect and figure out how much you're going to charge per hour and make sure that it is reflective of your skills and your knowledge and your experience. Okay. All right. So y'all, thank y'all for watching this video. It's getting long. It's getting longer than I wanted it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and end here. But what I'm just going to say is, this topic came up for me and it's a part of a larger issue. And that's just that mindset shift that we all need to make, and we need to start treating our business like a business from day one and stop treating it like a hobby. All right, y'all, that is enough for today. I appreciate you so much. If anything I said today in this video resonated with you, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell so that you know when we post, and stop back because we're going to continue to post more videos because we really want to help you all, especially with where we are in our economy today. Like the jobs, they're just not there, right? And so we are trying to create work. We're trying to create economic opportunities for ourselves so that we can continue to meet our needs and the needs of our families. So again, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay crafty.